Welcome to 579 Enderby Grindrod Road. Now, the grade of this driveway has been worked on. There's still a little bit of work to be done here. As you can see, the bank still needs a little bit of work to be cut back and graded, and then there's probably quite a few loads of crush just to be brought in here to allow for proper drainage of the roadway. So right here we have a 200 amp service with two plugs meant for RVs. And like I say, this is an outdoor exterior 200 amp service. So what my plan was here was to take the power from right here and then go all the way up to the top of the well, right up there, where those, right there. Perfect. Right where that shelter is up there, it's probably about 250 feet to get power to the well, and I was planning on doing that underground. So one thing I wanted to point out here from this property is that it has numerous views from numerous standpoints where you're standing from. So currently I am just down by the trailer and also where the landing is for where I was going to put a shop. So yeah, like I wanted to just point out here was just the spectacular views from the very bottom looking to the east. And then as we go to the top, I'll also show you a view looking to the west where the sun is currently setting. So again, I just wanted to point out the views. I've come up about maybe 100 feet, looking down on towards the property, over towards the neighbors there where you can see the power pole, and then looking towards the south through the valley there is where Vernon is, and then on the mountainside right over here is Enderby. So there you go, and that gives you a really good view of the perspective of the sun setting in the evening. It is currently close to 7, and yeah, really good valley views, like I say. So right here towards the these little shelters right here is where the well sits. So in here we have a 100-foot well that pumps out 35 gallons per minute. And again, like I say, it's 249 feet from the power pole. And that's what I was planning on running power underground to get here, just so that the power lines wouldn't interrupt any views or the trees and that kind of thing. So this is typically the view that you would get sitting in these chairs at the top of the field, and basically just overlooking the entire valley all the way into Vernon, just over those ridges there, and then you can kind of see Enderby just above the corner of these trees right there again. So yeah, like I say, very spectacular views, and it's still super lovely to just sit and enjoy the evening sun. Now, another thing I'd like to mention is that when this place was logged many years ago, you can finally see that the decomposition of the stumps is pretty well done. So if you wanted to do any sort of clearing up in the top to build any barns and things like that, and then just to selectively kind of clear out where you want to put shelters and stuff like that for your animals, this would be the perfect place to do it. I've been super selective with doing that in the essence where I kind of wanted to preserve as many of the trees as I could. Now, one thing that I'd like to mention is just right up in behind me, the bank coming out of the forest is quite steep. So I've always thought that it would make a really good spot for a root cellar. So like I say, the grade is already there, and all you basically need to do is just dig it out and then just put in any type of root cellar system that you're looking to build. And then basically you could infill it back in, and that would be the perfect spot for it. Yeah, so that's just my thoughts on that. Also, as per building sites, what I was looking at doing up here at the top ridge of the property here is to go underground and do kind of like an earth ship, or like dig into the soil and build that kind of home. Now, the previous landowners, they were planning to also build a home at the top end of the property here, but there also are numerous sites where building would be sufficient, basically down in the lower end right here, and again, potentially up over on the top end over here. Again, you have really spectacular views of the valley, and now if you choose to be more central as for a building spot, you definitely would have more views of the Enderby Cliffs. Now here you just kind of see the taper off of the cliffs right there, and then again, like I say, up in behind you are the Enderby Cliffs just behind those trees. So basically now I'm standing in the middle of the field. Now one thing I wanted to mention was down at the bottom into this area down here. The slope actually flattens out quite a bit. So what I was potentially thinking was to put in a greenhouse, a 75-foot down there, just for a farm gate kind of thing. And then again, down where the power pole is there is where I was going to have a farm gate stand for any of those people interested looking at this place to grow food for other people, and then also run a local business right directly from where you're living. Now, looking towards the top end of the property, again, like I say, up here was where potential building sites were thought from previous owners, and myself were kind of also looking at. And again, then looking towards the south is what our plan was. And then, like I say, up and behind you here, just up above behind the trees, is the Enderby Cliffs. Now, some of those trees could be selectively taken down, but like I say, most of them are kind of on the border between myself and the neighbors. So there you have it. There's the views. Like I say, from the property, to kind of get a better perspective, hopefully. And like I say, the land here is quite interesting. In the spring, you can also hear when the water's running through the soil here, you can actually hear the percolation through the soil, which is really quite a lovely thing to be able to experience also. And yeah, like I say, very spectacular views all around. And like I say, this is like full exposure all day. So it's basically the perfect piece of land to grow basically anything you're looking to grow, whether it be animals or vegetables or just flowers for yourself to enjoy. Now, when you're walking up the fence line, right up behind me is this little red shelter. If you go right by this fir tree and go straight up, you'll see that the path has kind of been cleared. Now, I've basically brushed most of that brush down, and you can see the original fencing that was there from gosh knows how long. But like I say, most of that original fencing is lying down on the ground. But if you follow that right up, you'll come right to where the pin is. There'll be a little piece of orange ribbon right on the ground. You can follow that, and then you'll see where it goes over to the other fence lines, which is all of the other neighboring fences also. Like I say, with the forest up in behind, I would be very selective in any removal of the trees up there, just because it does kind of keep that buffer zone and that little bit of a wildlife corridor for the wildlife to travel through if you don't put up a deer fence. But yeah, with that being said, this used to be a wildlife corridor where it was said that most the bears used to come down to go down to the neighboring fields. With that being said, I have experienced one bear that has come through here, but I haven't really seen it since it got into my feed that one year. But yeah, other than that, she should be good. So like I say, with the forest up and behind me, it takes up a good 2/3, I would say, of most of this property here, which is quite substantial. But then at the same time, you could do some selective clearing and choose those spots that you're going to, say, build little structures in, or if you're going to have paddocks up in there. Definitely a great place to do that to keep your animals out of the heat of the sun during the summer months. So again, I just wanted to give you a quick perspective and view as the sun has kind of been setting here. It's around 7:23, and yeah, like I say, I'm a good 100 feet up from the power pole, standing, like I say, probably about a third up in the field. So it gives you again the perspective of what it looks like during the time of day. And again, I came to this vantage point simply so I could show you the view of the cliffs also. This is one thing a lot of people in this region come to live for and build their houses for. In Enderby especially, so that they can have a view of the cliffs. But the one thing that most people don't get when they're in Enderby is they actually don't get the view of the sun setting, which is what we get out in the valley here and out towards Grindrod. So like I say, it's just one added bonus that we get, and being a little bit rural area, like I say, it's about 6 kilometers out of Enderby also, and 3 kilometers from Grindrod, which is super nice if you need to go for a quick bite to eat. The pub is also there for you to enjoy. So again, the beautiful views of the Enderby Cliffs. Again, this is at the bottom of the driveway here. And yeah, like I say, just it's quite a bit cooler down here also, just so one would know. Anywhere where we're just a little bit in the shade, it just the temperature drops quite instantly. So yeah, there you have it. I hope you enjoy, and I hope you come out to take a view and enjoy this place as much as I do. Anyways, I hope everyone enjoys, and we'll hope to chat with you soon.